Welcome to 40s and Free Agents. I am Gregg Rosenthal. I am joined by the best draft analyst in the business, but that's not all he does. I saw him on Monday night walking out of the drunkest NFL game of the season, Chargers-Eagles. He's already been taping podcasts, moved the sticks today, and now he's here for the only job that really means anything to him, 40s and Free Agents, where we talk a little free agency and we talk some rookie class in this show.
Every time that music hits, 40s and Free Agents, the hair on my arm stands up a little bit, Greg. It's just, it's hard to describe. I'll put it that way.
You don't have to wait as long this time around, or I guess we got 1 month to go. So if you've been listening, we're checking in during the season. On today's show, we're going to do some rookie class check-in. Who's been getting better throughout the course of the season? I might hit some guys who maybe have been disappointing in terms of the rookie class. And then when we reconvene, and you hear that song again, DJ, after the end of the regular season, we'll be going weekly through the draft, talking about the 2026 draft. I'm going to start building my big board. I'm going to get inspired by you, get my free agency board, get all the positions ready. But that's for next time. For this time, we're going to do one last look back at this rookie class. Because one thing I love about it, it's a lot of times by this point in the season, you know this, week 15, like they look like different players than they were in week 6. So we'll go through each position. Why don't we start at quarterback, and we're just going to kind of pick out a guy that we think is getting better as the season goes on. I might throw out some guys a little disappointing. Why don't you get us going?
Sure. I'm actually going to start with Tyler Shuck because nobody talks about him. It's the Saints. They're not really haven't been really a watchable product, but they've got a couple wins as of late. And Tyler Shuck, you used the phrase like, who are the guys that are getting better? Who's ascending? And I can't underscore it. It's just a massive development. If he is able to prove over these last few games and continue doing what he's doing, making some plays with his legs, showing the athleticism, still inconsistent, some of the decision making, some of the accuracy can kind of ebb and flow a little bit, but you've got the size, you've got the athleticism, he's got a big arm. Sounds like by all counts, good in the room, smart leadership, all the intangible stuff is there. And you're seeing the performance tick up. If that takes them out of the quarterback market, it really frees this team up. It solves a lot of issues for them. And they'll have then eventually, once they get the cap all lined up, they're going to have some money to be able to fortify a very cheap quarterback, and they're going to have draft capital to be able to help him instead of replace him. That would be a massive development for this program.
Month is a long time in the NFL, but if he continues to play just how he's playing, I'd be stunned if they drafted a quarterback.
Yeah, I'm with you.
It's a huge development. I didn't expect it. I had my doubts coming into this season. His athleticism really shows up where he is making second reaction plays. They had some design runs for him last week where he is making that Bucs defense look slow. I think the decision-making has been good. That was the thing I was worried about. He was also the guy I was going to talk about in terms of improving. I thought he might struggle against pressure. It hasn't been perfect. He holds on to the ball and takes some sacks. But for the most part, I don't think any issues he had maybe trying to avoid hits and everything in college, I haven't really seen that so far as in the pros. I think he's looked good.
Yeah, he's played better than what the box scores indicate, too.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to wow you with where he is on the stat sheet, but he's played well and he's making some plays. And that all you want to see on young quarterbacks is that you're trending upward. And I'll give you one more name here quickly because I know everybody's going to be curious about it. Shooter Sanders done a nice job since he's got the reins. There was a pretty large gap between the Browns rookie quarterbacks on my list. I'll go back through and pull it up if I went by position. Shedeur was my second quarterback. He was my 20th overall player. And Dylan Gabriel was my 9th quarterback, my 148th overall player. So it's a pretty significant gap coming through the draft process, and we all need to rehash how we ended up where we ended up. But I think he's clearly shown that he's more likely to try and push the ball down the field. I know the chunk of salt, not the grain of salt, that people want to say the Raiders and the Titans, put it in perspective here. But some good things that I've seen in those games. He's a very skilled thrower. When he has a little bit of room and a little bit of space, he just throws a real pretty catchable ball, and he's pushing the ball down the field, which I like seeing. There's still other stuff that continue to grow. We'll see as they come down the home stretch. They'll play some better quality of competition if he can keep it up. But this is along the same lines of Shuck. Why I wanted to mention Shedeur is that if this takes them out of the quarterback business and all the draft capital that they accumulated from Jacksonville, and you look at just if they can duplicate 80%, 70% of this next rookie class, what they've got out of this class, because I'm going to talk about a whole lot of Browns as we go through this episode. If they can have 3/4 of the success in this next draft, we're going to be talking about them like we're talking about New England, of 2-year process, and they could totally flip this thing.
That would be bold for Shedeur to take them out of the quarterback market. Now, the next 4 games will tell us a lot. I haven't gotten to that Titans-Browns tape yet. I'm going to. Yeah, I had to get in the traffic early to get to SoFi for that game. I brought my son and everything, but he's made pro throws, and I think there's been a big difference between him and Gabriel. If I was going to put a faller since we last talked, I think Gabriel just kind of proved where he is. Yeah. And when he played, I just think he showed he could be a long-term backup for them. Just not terrible out of a third-round pick. And it doesn't seem that crazy for Shedeur to be a bridge type of quarterback, to just give him another year to see, when you think about how a lot of teams and evaluators like yourself, maybe it was just the evaluators, that saw him closer to the Tyler Shuck range. Okay, maybe that's a guy you give a chance on. He has looked like a pro so far. And yeah, that's a weird dynamic in that room if they went back to it for another year, but that's a story for another day. All right, let's go to the running back. I'll throw out mine first. How about last week? And again, you got to be careful coming off these Raiders games. It's like playing, a lower division school in college or something. But RJ Harvey, good receiver, sure-handed. And I think he showed in that game he can handle the inside runs. Overall, I think he's been solid, but he's just passing the eye test the last week or two, where he's just running with a little more confidence. Maybe the game is slowing down for him, and I'm seeing some of that juice that I remember had Brian Baldinger excited in the draft process, where it's starting to pop on tape, and he really looks like a guy that you can help build a running game around going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I pulled back up my notes pre-draft, a mix of Tariq Cohen and Freeman. Remember how good a little player Freeman was. Runs low to the ground, burst, breakaway speed. They use him in some wildcat. He's got great vision. You hit him on a wheel for a touchdown. He's just got the speed shows up. He's just a little small and pass pro. And he was someone I thought definitely you want to get him out as opposed to keep him in, which is fine. And Sean Payton's very comfortable doing that, getting him out and letting him make plays out in space. But a perfect player fit for how they use him and what they do there as well. Devontae Freeman, by the way, he's such an underrated player for those few years. He was really good.
He was great. I love a guy who just runs hard every single snap, and he was that guy. Unfortunately, as a Patriots fan, I do remember his maybe most famous play as a pro was in pass protection against Dante Hightower, and it turned around the greatest comeback in NFL history.
Kind of a big game. Can I give you mine? I'll give you my 2 guys, because there are 4 names that I wrote down that I think that have trended up. And, if I start with the obvious ones, with Travion Henderson being on that list, then I had Woody Marks, who's done some really good things, and loved the way he caught the ball coming out of college, and he's run the ball well there with Houston. But the 2 to me that it would be up towards the top, I would say Judkins number 2 and Kyle Monangai number 1 in terms of guys who are just ascending as they go through the year. And it shouldn't be a surprise if I was going to say the through line with those 2 guys is power. And as you get later on in the season and defenses get tired and the weather changes, like, to me, that's where you start to see some of these power guys really start to take over. And Judkins, just throw him in the Wildcat. Once they get inside the 10-yard line, he's going to be able to, muscle his way into the end zone. He's proven that.
He's just got to remember the play call.
Pitch the ball. Just got to pitch the ball. That's all. Not the best play call, but we probably need to pitch it.
He's awesome. I would take him over Genty. I don't think that's overreacting. If you had to restack it,
it's incomplete. I've seen them twice. I've seen Genty twice, and Gregg. They're awful.
They really are.
So
I hear you, and that's why it's incomplete.
Yeah,
but I feel like if he was John Robinson or Saquon, I would just see
not those guys though.
A little more.
He never said he was those guys.
That's fair. I just love what I see out of Judkins, and that's just my take. So he was my guy. That I think he's good. He's going to be a good pro. Ashton Genty, have a good career, but just in terms of a guy, maybe is it that next level ability?
It was the wrong time to pick the running back.
Fair.
And that's the way we've shaped this. If you've listened to our 40s and free agents pre-draft stuff, we've had this running back discussion, and we keep asking the wrong questions. Do you take a running back in the top 10? No. It's when is the right time with where you are in your build to take a running back? That's the question. And that was not the right time for where their roster was.
Great point. I love Woody Marks too. Tougher than I expected. Yeah. And like Devonta Freeman, I mean, he runs hard. I just love that the energy that he brings every week. Really fun.
Let me find my Woody Marks notes here real quick, because I was curious to go back and look at that. Woody Marks, okay, he was 5'10", 207. He ran 4.54. Excellent pass catcher. He's a patient runner. Has those quick little choppy steps. He's elusive in space. He can jump through low tackles. He had and I use this word because I'm a fan of the movie, he had a plethora of one-handed catches. Efe, do you even know what a plethora is? Three Amigos, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's a great movie.
That's incredible. They were playing it in the theater over at the Arrow here in Santa Monica.
What?
Well, yeah, it's like one of those theaters that plays old movies a lot of the time.
Did you go?
I would have liked to. I was like, I would go see that in the theater, but it was 7:30 on the
mail plane. How can you tell? I'll leave it at
that. Yeah, and Woody Marks, they're trusting him to take some of those carries with Nick Chubb, when he's banged up, like run into the line. I like it. All right, give me your wide receiver that you see rising.
Yeah, so we go through the wide receivers. It's funny. You're going to laugh at this. I have all my positions and I have all my notes here. And
okay.
I didn't put a wide receiver down.
I mean, I can start you out because I got a few that I really like.
Yeah, give me a wide receiver.
And this is where I like this exercise.
Yeah.
Luther Burden and Jaden Higgins are two guys who, to start the season, you're learning the playbook. You got veterans in front of you, just weren't a big part of the mix. And as the season goes along, you're starting to see all the reasons you and other draft analysts had them ranked highly. And Burden especially, I find it interesting that he's kind of taking DJ Moore's production now. And I think he's going to take DJ Moore's role, period, next year. I sort of don't expect DJ Moore to be on that team. But there was a play last week where he's just the outside receiver and he has a comeback, and it's one of the best timing throws I've seen Caleb make all year, 20 yards down the field. And Burton's doing a little bit of everything, 4, 5, 6 targets and catches each week. Good player. And it just shows you between him and Loveland, we could talk about him too. Like, it's a complicated offense, and sometimes it's that second half of the rookie year you got to watch because Burton's really been coming on. Yeah, I'm a fan of his game, and I'll pull up my notes on him before I get to the next guy that we're going to talk about here. But Burden, he was 6 foot, 206 pounds. He ran 4.41. I compared him to Stephon Diggs coming out. Quick, athletic slot, a lot of quick hitters. He's got strong hands, excellent body control. He shows real burst after the catch. He can make you miss, and did not play with a good quarterback. There were a lot of bad balls. So, and I'm not taking a shot at Caleb here, but Caleb's not going to be pinpoint accurate. So having somebody who's comfortable catching balls away from your frame, off your frame, low balls, high balls, like that's a good thing to have somebody who's a little bit experienced that, and the weather you're going to play in, as they played in Green Bay and they're going to be in Chicago. Like, you got to be able to adjust. And he's really, really good at that. So I'm excited about him. The one I was going to mention is, haven't seen him in person. I can't remember if we talked about him on the last version of this thing. But Chimere Dike, just in terms of the return skills, and now you're seeing more as a receiver throughout this year, showing you some promise. I always think about these young teams of who's going to be a part of the nucleus going forward, and I think he's proven to be a playmaker and can be a big asset to Cam Ward going off into the future. Yeah, I totally am with you on that. They found something, and he might just make an All-Pro team this year as a returner, which is great thing to have. By the way, I know. We're talking about some of the disappointing things. We haven't really jumped into that yet, but I will be honest. I mean, the timing for some of these players, it takes longer than others. This is not a death sentence by any stretch, but man, I expected a heck of a lot more out of Golden than what he's given today. Yeah, he was a tough one because he's not even getting on the field that much. And it's not like there's scrubs that are playing it. I mean, they have a deep room. They have a good room, but I thought he had a chance to emerge as the best of their guys, and he's not getting anything. I would never call two-way star Bo Melton a scrub, but I found it interesting last week that Bo Melton played ahead of him. He got more snaps ahead of him, so they don't think Golden's ready. And they always were just missing those big plays to him earlier in the season. And I mentioned Jaden Higgins quickly. he's just been a great third down target for CJ Stroud and Davis Mills. He's really come up. If you look at some of the biggest catches of the season, a lot of them have been Jaden Higgins. In terms of declining, just since when we last talked, look, Ibuka is still in the mix for rookie of the year, but it just hasn't been efficient. Him and Baker, they have 35 targets over the last month here, DJ. He has 14 catches on those 35 targets for 129 yards. Doing a little math, that is under 4 yards per attempt when you're throwing to Ibuka. There's been about a drop a week. There's just been misconnections. It's obviously not on him exclusively. Mike Evans hasn't been there. He was coming off an injury, but it just has slowed down in terms of how great he was in the first half of the season.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I still am a buyer of his going forward into the future. So
am I. Don't try to put it on me.
I'm not saying. But the Higgins thing is that my favorite part about him is going back through his stuff is my comp was Nico Collins. Mm-hmm. So it was his teammate and can accelerate, go get the ball, 50-50 wins, win on verticals. There's a lot of pass interference penalties that he's able to draw. He's got stop and start quicks for a big guy, which is impressive. And I tried to make this stick, but then I realized that I'm probably a combination of me being old and then also people just not really respecting what were the Twin Towers and Ralph Sampson and Akeem Olajuwon. I tried to get that like Twin Towers 2.0. I couldn't get it to stick. But with him and Nico Collins,
that's before your time. I know how old you are, despite wearing your Masters hat here.
That was the 80s.
Yeah, but you were like 5 years old or something.
77. That's like 80. I'm like 10 years old. That's like primo, like NBA fan me.
Okay.
I was a Dr. J. I go back to the San Diego Clippers, Greg. My brother was the ball boy for the San Diego Clippers. That's how
maybe you just love ball more than me and we're grinding tape at 8 years old. You are 2 years older, so that makes a difference. But I feel like Ralph Sampson was just like a little bit before my time, before I really knew it. No,
those were, those were for me? Those were VHS taped games. We would go to church. The game would be in the morning. Like finals, like I remember like Celtics Rockets, and it was make sure that the VCR is set to record. No TiVo back then. Record it so then we come back from church, we could actually watch the game and fast forward through the commercials. So that, and by the way, one quick story because I know you're clamoring for a San Diego Clippers story. My brother was the ball boy. My dad was the chaplain. And our seats were right behind the hoop there. So we were like 6-8 rows back, and they were just because of them both working there. And playing the Celtics, I'm a little tiny kid, and Clippers are at the free throw line. And as you can imagine, the Celtics fans travel well as they do. And so then it was kind of quiet. Clippers are at the free throw line, and I stand up because I'm just saying what I'd heard in the stands. And I just yell at the top of my lungs as like a 7-year-old, Celtics suck. And my dad, who's the chaplain of the team, looks over at his little kid. He's like, what is going on here? What? No, I don't even know what that means. As that kid, I just was repeating what I'd heard in the stands.
That is incredible. And don't apologize for that story.
Get on the third quarter review of free agents.
That type of story is why the bosses are like, we need 40s and free agents, even during the NFL season.
After the games were over, Bill Walton would soak his feet because he had bad feet, would soak them in an ice tub. And me and his kids, they would lower the hoop down and we would play. Those kids turned out to be like Luke Walton and his brother and all that stuff when I was just a little guy.
And who knows? Yeah, those San Diego Clippers team, they're better than this Clippers team at the very least.
Yeah, I stopped watching the NBA a while ago. Again, that's why my references like the Twin Towers are all very dated. But
I think more Tim Duncan and David Robinson. They were kind of like a Twin Towers. I don't know if they had that nickname or not. All right, let's wrap up the skill positions. Awesome tight end class. Yeah. You talked up this tight end class going into it, and so you got to feel good about where they're at. Who stands out to you from that position?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull back up my list here. So the way I had these guys, I had Tyler Warren, Colston Loveland, Mason Taylor, Elijah Arroyo, Harold Fannin, Terrence Ferguson, Gunnar Helm, Gavin Bartholomew, Rondé Gadsden. Like that's And then Jackson Hawes just down below that, who's done a really nice job as a blocker. Like this class has been outstanding. For me, the ones I've seen kind of ascend. I mean, Harold Fannin Jr. Since you've seen Shooter get in there, it's a favorite target. And I love how they're using him. He's like an old school Frank Wycheck, like true H-back, where you'll see him in some fullback. He's in the wing. He's winning down the field on corner routes. Like he's using a variety of ways, but he's like not like a hand in the ground traditional Y tight end. He's like an old school H back. And I don't know. I always appreciated guys like Frank Wycheck. I was like, that's just, he like plays his own position. Like there's not many of those guys that play that spot and have that role, which he does. Yeah.
That's kind of like Hawes, who you mentioned, Jackson Hawes, who's like a sixth offensive lineman, but every once in a while they'll throw it to him, and he's
out there.
Been awesome. Fannin, I had written down, he is not that far behind now, the production in terms of yardage of Tyler Warren. And Tyler Warren's having one of the best tight end rookie seasons we've seen. Fannin is fourth in fantasy points, if you're into that thing, since week 10. He was my guy too. And you can see him, he can change direction. They had him like on a fade last week in the red zone. They have him on like a wheel route out of the backfield, like you mentioned, just really versatile. But you could choose any of those guys, including Loveland, who
Loveland's been awesome.
A lot on his plate, right?
Won him a game. I mean, that's one, was it Cincinnati, right? Where he caught the one down the seam, bounces off the tackle late in the game and takes it in. So he's been a field stretcher, big time, big playmaker. And you can see that's Caleb's trust and confidence in him just continues to grow. It's my favorite offense right now. I try and watch the Bears every week. And I know people lose their minds on both sides of Caleb. I'm excited, what I see and kind of where it's headed and where it's going. But just to in terms of watching, like a pleasure watch for me, even if there's some misfires here and there, it's fun to watch that. Yeah, all those young guys, man. Yeah,
the run game, the path game, it's all been good. And so that's why it's hard to have a disappointment at tight end. Maybe the disappointment is teams are letting these guys fall in the draft too far. I mean, if you look how valuable some of these second round guys in this class are, maybe they're falling too far. I guess Terrence Ferguson and Arroyo, they're having the more usual trajectory where they're trying to get into the mix, but they have veterans.
There's a lot of mouths to feed in those offenses.
Yes. Terrence Ferguson is a big, impressive athlete and has had a few really nice catches, but right now they have veterans in front of him. Why don't we take a quick break, and then we'll come back on the other side. We'll do all the linemen and the defensive players on 40s and free agents. On 40s and free agents, looking at the development of this rookie class. I know Daniel Jeremiah just loves to geek out talking about offensive linemen. Who has caught your eye in a draft where a lot of guys got taken high? I guess that's every class lately, but especially this class.
Well, to me, I'm going to go right to the top of the interior offensive line list for me in the draft. It was Tyler Booker was my number one guy at 17. Gray Zabel was my number two guy at 26. And I think both guys, if you're going to say who are the cleanest, safest players in the draft, even though Gray Zabel wasn't coming from a traditional powerhouse, Power 4 program at North Dakota State, those guys to me I thought were the safest, highest floor players. And not only have they, their bad moments been few and far between, but they're actually playing at a really, really high, consistent level for both their teams. And two of the better offenses, really, when you look at what they're able to do.
Yeah, and versatile at guard, too. You said you're watching the Bears every week. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yeah, you want to go
Ozzie Trapilo, who, if you just look at the numbers, I can't say I'm breaking down his film. He's only had 3 starts, which really didn't happen until injuries, but he's only given up 7 pressures in those 3 starts against good pass rush teams, no quarterback hits, and no sacks in those games. So I don't know if you've seen anything out of him, but they got to be happy since he came into the lineup.
I'm going to pull up my notes on him. I wanted to see what pick was he here.
He was late second.
He was a 56th overall. So he was 56 overall. So he was my 72nd player. He was my 6th offensive tackle. I compared him to Havenstein though. Right tackle, lockout control, stays attached, balance. He's effective in combos. He can recover. I wrote function over fashion. Not always the prettiest, but gets the job done. By the way, Havenstein. I say it wrong every time. What do we got? Rob?
I think it's Steen. I don't know.
I think I should have remembered.
15 years with this team, and
been playing forever.
I should know
but that was my comparison to him, and that's someone who just gets the job done. And Trapillo's done that. He's done a nice job.
Also, give a shout out to Kelvin Banks. I know the Saints fans are very happy with him. He is out there on an island, just quietly getting the job done at left tackle for them each and every week. If I was looking for a guy who's been struggling, it's not new, but Jonah Savanea for Miami has had his struggles this year. I don't think it's really turned around during the season, so that was a high pick that they hope to get.
Let me pull up my notes on him. He was my 47th player.
He went a little higher than that. The rumors were that the Patriots were eyeing him for the pick that ended up being Travion Henderson, that the Miami traded up in front of New England because they thought New England was going to take him. We'll see if there's no way to know if that's true.
Right tackle, wide base, clamps his hands. He's stiff, pull, can't adjust. He can wash DTs down the line of scrimmage. Not a lot of polish, strong hands, doesn't roll his hips. So I thought he was a little bit stiff and just a little raw there. So it sounds like I haven't studied him, so I'll take your word on that.
And he's playing inside, and you just see a lot of blown blocks. So that running game is fun to watch. Let's flip it while we're on the Dolphins. I'm going to go off the board. I'm throwing my defensive lineman picks right at you, and it's this guy Jordan Phillips for the Dolphins. He's showing up, 5th round pick, one of those drafts where the guy you took later is outplaying your 1st round pick in Kenneth Grant. And he's just a guy that pops. It's not a good defensive line class. That was my takeaway going through this exercise, trying to pick someone. Overall, it hasn't been great, but he looks like a guy who's going to contribute to the Dolphins down the line.
Jordan Phillips. You know who my comparison was for him? Hargrave.
Okay.
Body type wise, kind of remind me of Hargrave. Wide 4-point stance, a little late off the ball. He's violent club swim. He's got some real shock in his hands, pure bull. Not a lot of polish, but you'll see him like forklift guys, like just a real strong power player. A good player. So
maybe that's why he's popped enough for me to just write him down a few times. It's just like
he can jolt.
He looks stronger than the pro competition, which is impressive to do, as a rookie.
No, that's good stuff. To me, the name that I wanted to highlight was Josiah Stewart, which is another draft day coup for the Rams and Les Snead. He's got a 13.4% pressure percentage, which is extremely high. And I was thinking about what's the through line with all these successful defensive linemen that the Rams have. And, you can talk about all different shapes and sizes. You can even look at some of the speed, and it can be a little bit, they want guys who are explosive, but speed can be a little bit up and down, a little different there. All of their players, though, play with tremendous leverage. And whether or not they're shorter or whether or not they can really roll their hips and bend, like they are going to challenge your brakes. I call them it's like an AMCO pass rush. They're going to test the brakes of every single offensive lineman. They're going to leverage them, and they're going to go through them. And Josiah Stewart was penalized a little bit because he was undersized. If I remember correctly, he did not, or he ran poorly at his pro day. He was in my top 50 at one point in time. Let me see where he ended up on mine, because I had dropped him through the process. I think there might have been some medical stuff as well, but he ended up 111 on my list. At one point in time, again, he was like 49, 50 range. Undersized, bolt of lightning. He plays balls to the wall, has a shake bull, dip rip. He plays much bigger than he is at the point of attack. He attacks blocks. He plays with big energy. So again, that's always a lesson. This happens every year, and you tell yourself, don't do it. Trust what you saw in first look, first glance. Don't let the fog of confusion. Phil Savage used to always say that about the spring. It's like the fog of confusion. Just put your grades in cement after the season's over. But man, the guy, I dropped him 50 slots, and clearly he should not have been dropped that far.
Well, Phil Savage didn't have to come up with weekly rankings with your editor, Ali Bonfuri,
you didn't have to
down your throat.
Machine.
He's like, we got to move him around a little bit. If it's in cement, what are we doing here?
Dan Parr content machine. We're just trying to keep that thing running, man.
Couple disappointing defensive line. And by the way, the Falcons' edges have both played pretty well. So
Pierce has got a 14.2% pressure rate, which is very good.
And I think Jalen Walker looks like he's going to be good. The problem is the coach might not be there next year. It's going to be a different scheme, and that's always the risk with these teams that are changing coaches. Abdul Carter I wouldn't say he's been bad, but he hasn't been consistent. And when you get suspended or at least benched twice in the span of 3 weeks, that's not great. And Mike Green for the Ravens, man, they could have really used him. It's a lot to ask in a rookie edge rusher, second round pick to just pop right off the bat, but they could have really used him, and hasn't been great, hasn't been making a huge impact. I think he was the guy that was at fault for that Jaylen Warren touchdown, that long play last week. And so those are a couple guys higher that haven't really done too much.
Yeah, Abdul Carter's pressure percentage better than his production. He's got a 12.8% pressure percentage, which is solid, only 1.5 sacks. But where you're picked, and as somebody who is as talented as anybody in the entire draft class, you expected a lot more production, even in a crowded room, even in a team that's not playing with the lead very often. He should be more impactful than he's been. And the one thing I would say about this kind of collection of guys, I think on the whole, I would say maybe a little underwhelming in terms of the number of guys that were picked high, and the production is not necessarily matched that at this point in time. But of all the positions, defensive linemen can take a minute. And some of the best defensive linemen in the league, go look at their first, second-year stats. You won't be blown away. And you see guys get better and better. It's a major adjustment at that position in the NFL.
Yeah, especially on the interior, that can be true. But really everywhere. I mean, that's true of the linebackers. At least that's what we think. But we might have a rookie of the year. I kind of expect our rookie of the year.
I just wrote one name down. It's not. Yeah. It's a one-man band. It's Carson Schlesinger, and then there's a gulf, and then there's everybody else. I could come up and I could talk about Teddy Buchanan and talk about some of these other guys, but I'm like, it's almost it's a disservice to Schlesinger to not just constantly give him his flowers every time we do one of these episodes, because he's not just the best rookie linebacker. He's playing like one of the best linebackers in the NFL.
What a great pick, and what a great story he is, and what a great evaluation, not just by the Browns, but yourself and a lot of people who had him so high with such a small sample size and not like a traditional 5-star background or anything. But he's the man. It's reminding me of, I feel like back in the day, every year it was a linebacker like him popping up would win defensive rookie of the year. It's like Patrick Willis or Gerard Mayo.
Jackson.
Right, DeQuell Jackson. The Patriots actually had another one. Who am I forgetting? That wasn't Mayo, but either way, it was someone every year. And like, okay, I'm going to watch that guy for 7-8 years. I feel like we haven't. Darius Leonard was another one. Changed his name to Shaq, and I think Schlesinger is one of those dudes. We're just going to be watching him for a decade.
Yeah, awesome. He's a fun player. He's a great player. Let's get to the secondary, Greg. What do you want to do here? I'm gonna give you two, and I grouped them together. Now, I want to say this. Will Johnson's coming off the worst game he had of the whole year. The Rams target him. I think even from a statistical standpoint, I don't think he'd given up a first down catch in like the previous handful of games, 4 or 5 games. He gave up 5 in this game, including 2 touchdowns. It was his worst game of the year. Prior to that, he's played pretty good. He's been a really solid player. So I wanted to group him, Will Johnson, with Nick Amenwari, who were two guys that were fallers in the draft, who were viewed as first-round picks through the vast majority of the entire process. If I was going to pull up where I had them rated, let me see where I had them in that last one here. So safety-wise, Amenwari, let's start there. Amenwari was my 15th overall player, and he fell to the second round. And then we go to the corners. Will Johnson was my 16th player. So I had him at 15 and 16 for various reasons. One, with injuries was a part of it with Will Johnson. People worried about, I believe it was his knee, if I can remember correctly. Didn't run. So there were some questions about his speed. But he's played well for Arizona Cardinals team that's had a rough year. So I think that's been great. And then Amenwari, it's been fun. Like you'll see a little blood on his hands every week where he might, get beaten coverage here or there, but he's been dynamic near the line of scrimmage. He makes splash plays, and you can tell he's going to be really, really good. So both those guys, first-round players, didn't go in the first round.
So I like the big pat on the back that was for yourself of how highly you ranked them. Yeah, no, I was right. These GMs don't know what they're doing.
No. You want to know what's? This is that's not the pat. This is the pat. The pat on the back is I didn't have either one of them in my final mock draft. That's the two different jobs, Greg. It's the what I see of them, but then also they're not going to go in the first round because usually we only get one safety. There's usually not a room for a lot of safeties in there, so Amenwari is going to get punished, and then with Will Johnson with some medical could fall out.
For a couple nights every year, you are the preeminent insider. Forget Ian Rappaport. He tries to get in on doing stuff during the draft. You know what's going on. But yeah,
and that's why I get anywhere from 4 to 6 of those 32 picks right in a mock draft.
You're not above patting yourself on the back.
What kind of grade is that? What's a grade percentage?
That would be poor.
Tulane football school now, but I know it used to be an academic school. So can you do the math on that or no?
I mean, we've long been a football school. I was the Tulane student television announcer for Sean King. Let's go.
Yeah.
Everyone honking about, Tulane doesn't deserve to be in there compared to these big teams. Hey, how about not how about taking accountability? All these adults who, take accountability, leadership. And the second something goes against them in a totally arbitrary opinion process where you lost your biggest games of the season, do they take any responsibility for that at all? Like a quarterback would, they would want a leader to? No, they just whine and cry. And that's loser behavior. Tulane would never.
Does Meweldy Moore lead you guys out of the tunnel in this playoff game? Who's going to?
I hope so.
Doing that? Yeah.
I hope so.
Any secondary players you want to throw out there? You want to contribute to this podcast at all? Or are you good?
I didn't get to bag on the Bengals linebackers. By the way, they were down. That is an experiment gone horribly wrong. And yes, I do have a couple guys in secondary. I'm going deeper, not the obvious guys like you. How about Noel Williams of the Chiefs?
Otherwise Noel. Yeah,
Noel. Yeah. N-O-H-L. I think they found another one. They just find these guys no one's heard of, and then they're out there, and you're like, that guy's a pretty good player.
What pick was he? Tell me.
I don't know.
Do some homework on this thing at all?
I think it was like a 4th rounder, wasn't he?
Can we pull that up? Let me see.
85th overall. Okay, it was a little higher than I expected. 85th.
85th over, and you're saying he's playing well?
Yeah.
Would you say he's playing like maybe my 54th overall player?
There you go.
He's playing that well? I mean, goodness gracious. I mean, I put out a list, Greg. 6'0", 3, 199, ran 4.5 flat, 7 picks. He had 3 picks against Auburn, had a pick 6 against Cam Ward. Press, feisty, a little quicker than fast. He can undercut. He's got great ball skills. He's my 54th player you get. You act like you just found him on the moon.
Just saying he's playing well. If you can get a guy who's contributing right off the bat, looking good in the 3rd round, the Chiefs, they've had their problems this year, but that's been good. And then I'm going to go really deep here. Safety for the Titans, Kevin Winston. I just noticed they're using him as a blitzer. He's making some plays in run defense.
One of the prettiest safeties you'll ever. I saw him in person again this year. I saw him this year. I haven't done him in the draft, but I'm like, that's what you want your safety to look like when he gets off the bus.
They might have found someone. He looks like a player.
What pick was he?
Up. I'll check. Well, he's probably 3rd round. Where Kevin do you have him? It's great podcast.
What do we got? No, I want to know what it is.
He was drafted in the 3rd round. 82nd. 82nd.
Oh, you put it in there. 82nd pick. Okay. Kevin Winston. He was my 3rd safety. He was my 59th overall player.
Another W. Common W.
He only played 2 games. He only played 2 games, but he's 6'0", 1'4", so he's 6'1.5", 215 pounds. He ran 4.51 in his pro day, and he is only 2 games, aggressive versus the run, quick reads. He was beat by Fannin in coverage. Hey, we've already established Fannin, good player. Has man skills, excellent to the alley in 23, and 23 played really, really well. But he's a talented player.
Big, physical, good looking.
I think Drew's working harder. I think Drew's working harder on this podcast than you are, by the way.
A little Kenny Vaccaro, right? How about that? He's not bringing that comp to the table.
I like that. I like Kenny Vaccaro.
That was 40s and free agents in terms of the offseason. The next time we talk to you, DJ, you have a lot of work in the meantime. You might have a playoff run to be announcing for the Chargers. In fact, you better, or else it'd be a disappointing end to the season.
Need to find one, maybe 2 more wins. I think 1 more probably does it, but 2 would pretty much lock them in.
I think they'll get there too. And during that playoff run, we will already be talking. So we got 40s and free agents coming out weekly, starting to look ahead to the 2026 NFL draft, and even more important, the 2026 free agent crop. I'm doing my homework on it.
By the way,
that happens faster. We don't have to draw it out for 4 months. So we do it in like 3 days in March.
I don't want to rain on your parade here, but in talking to teams, they're saying an underwhelming free agent class, man.
I hear that every year.
And what's your list? How many do you 100?
101, because we work one slot harder than the rest.
It might be Gregg's top 30 free agents this year.
there's always players out there. There's always a Dante Jackson. People weren't talking about that one, DJ, and he's helping.
This is going to be a scrollless article. You do not need to scroll. You can get all those names in one view on your laptop.
Don't hurt the brand. We're going to be talking about this on the show too. There's always players out there, but you're right. I think teams, because of the salary cap going up and up and up and the way they do the accounting, good players rarely get loose. But there's some
interesting ones. The fastest 5 minutes in podcast sports as we preview the 2026 NFL free agency with Gregg Rosenthal.
Alec Pierce signs a 5-year, $250 million contract because he's.
By the way, I'll tell you right now, you cannot have Jalen Phillips high enough on your list. I'll tell you that right now.
Okay, that's a
Seeing
good
him
tip.
in person, really, really good.
We'll see if I take that into advisement in January when we will be back after week 18. Until then, just check out Move the Sticks, NFL Daily. We'll see you later.
Gotta get the pop
before we go.